So Ben, you hit the Olympic standard in the 5,000 meter indoors back in January. By 0.4 of a second, I think. It was real close.
Barely. Yeah, so close. So could have been closer.
So you haven't run a 5,000 meter outdoors this year. You've been focusing on the 10, which again is one of your strongest events. You've been on the roads. Why make the decision not to run an outdoor race in your Olympic event this year? What is the value of doing other events outside of your primary event heading into something like the Paris Olympics?
Yeah, totally new experience for me because I've never hit a standard before. So hitting that Olympic standard was a huge load off. Took some time to just calm down from that because it was such an exciting experience. But it set me up with the opportunity to not have to focus on the 5,000 all summer, which is usually what I do. So the priority was to really bank as much training as I could get to be ready for specific events, which are the trials and the Olympics. Because honestly, when you're chasing times all year, that's not how these races tend to go. So I was trying to prepare for what I would likely see at the games and at the trials. The 10K was to focus on the strength, and the 1,500 was to focus on the speed. So, the strategy was by, attacking both sides, a little bit further than the 5K. When I try to go right in the middle, I'll be kind of ready for anything. If it goes fast, I'll be able to handle it. If it goes slow, I can kick hard. So this was my first outdoor 5,000 of the season tomorrow, and I guess we'll find out then.
That's a gutsy way to do it. Your first one is at trials. Look, you're known for your finish line celebrations. We've seen you jump across the line at the Falmouth Road Race. We've seen you celebrate, at the NCAAs going back a few years now. How do you bring that element of fun to your races, especially when there's so much on the line?
It's just trying to enjoy it, and maybe I'm just an emotional person is the answer. Those moments are truly just really meaningful, and I guess the most attention I've ever gotten for my celebrations are usually the very authentic ones where it's just.
And there is Ben Flanagan, one of two Canadians with the Olympic standard in the 5,000 meters. Getting set for our third and final section of the senior men's 5,000 meters. The other man with that Olympic standard will be to his outside, Mo Ahmed. Not only does he have the Olympic standard, he has the Canadian record of 12:47.20. And we're underway in our final race of day 2 at the 2024 Bell Trials. We got Mohamed, Ben Flanagan, Thomas Fafard, Andrew Alexander, Jean-Simon Deganay. We just saw win the 3,000 meter steeplechase. Jeremy Kugler, Tristan Coles, Philippe Morneau-Cartier, Owen Lockyer, Matthew Baudet, Nicholas Bannon, Andrew Davies, Mark Patton, Matthew Travaglini, Thomas Laviolette, Dylan Alec, Felix Pirion, Heath McAllister, and Samuel Kinahan. So it is Deganay out to the early lead, but he also might be pacing here, Kate. That's some information we've just gotten.
Well, trying to get confirmation on it, but of course we did just see him in the steeplechase with that enormous win. We also know how important the time is and how important the points are here. And to have him out there as a rabbit would be ideal for many of these competitors, especially for someone like Fafard, who of course is a teammate and good friend of his and is just so close to that standard. He's run 13:05.07. He is 0.07 of a second outside of an Olympic qualifying standard in a race that takes over 13 minutes.
So Fafard and Deganay can commiserate there, as Deganay was within a second of the Olympic standard in the 3,000 meter steeplechase twice.
Well, that's it, and it doesn't get much closer than that. That is the drama of the sport. And it is Fafard tucked in just behind Deganay. And so I just have a feeling that that's exactly what we're seeing play out here. Of course, as you mentioned, it's been billed as the Ben and Mo show. And Mohamed, so difficult to say enough about him. Ben Flanagan with that superior, that extreme performance from indoors, that 13:04.62. Talk about being on either side of that standard by such tight margins. And it is fast. They are strung out and they are cruising here. Mohamed got his 10,000 meter standard for the Olympics earlier this year as well at the 10 in California. That is a blazing fast 27 minutes flat. He ran 26:53. We should mention that Flanagan, who's currently sitting in 5th in this race, was also in that race, the 10. Ran an enormous PB, got 3rd on the all-time Canadian list, but did miss that Olympic standard in the 10,000 by about 20 seconds. So far it is just Mohamed who's been named in the 10,000.
So they opened up with a 2:39 kilometer, so that puts them around 13:20 pace. Olympic standard is 13:05. Again, Ahmed and Flanagan both have that Olympic standard. So if either of them win this section and get better time than we saw in the opening 2 sections, they will book their ticket here tonight to Paris.
And the exciting thing is nothing is guaranteed, and what a thing to be able to say about the likes of Mohamed and Ben Flanagan. And here's the rest of the field, which we can't forget because there is some excellent ability tucked in here as well. That is Matt Beaudet that you're seeing leading the chase pack. But back to our leaders, and what I can only imagine is a very tired Jean-Simon Deganey, not just from the effort of the steeplechase, but all the emotion that came out after winning here in front of a relatively home crowd. And of course, being almost certainly named to that team. We'll have to wait on confirmation. You can see him really gritting his teeth. Oh, and Mo almost trips there. Good for him for staying on his feet. This wouldn't be the first time that Mo's had contact in a major race. And now it is Fafard making a move. And I think we were right. I think we might just be seeing JS taking a back seat for his teammate. Look at how smooth Thomas Fafard looks up front. He is just out for a jog. And you know what? It takes a lot to make the likes of Mohamed look as though he's having to work hard for something. I gotta say, that's what's happening right now.
Now, as mentioned, Fafard just so close to hitting that Olympic standard, but as it stands right now, he is eligible for selection because he is within the world rankings quota, but he is just within it.
So 5:20 on the clock there through that second 1,000 meters. Sorry to interrupt you, just wanted to make sure we didn't miss that split. Just around 5:20 on the clock. So that's 13:20 tempo. That's what they've been running. But you can see the caliber in Canada. These 3 guys working hard together. And again, making it look pretty comfortable at a pace that is incredibly fast. Andrew Alexander, we haven't talked a lot about him, but what a performance he had at the 10,000 meter championships earlier this year.
That last split, 62 seconds. So things are speeding up here in this 5,000 meters.
And you can tell that because we're having some separation now, not only to Andrew Alexander, we'll get back to him in a moment, what a great story, but also to Ben Flanagan. This is his first outdoor 5,000 of the season. He's known for his range. He's fantastic on the roads. He's been doing some 1,500s, working either end of that spectrum. But he said, you know what? Sometimes you got to save it for the right time. This is the right time. I'm here to perform. And he is having a difficult time maintaining contact, but he's putting in work now to try to get back up on them. These guys are running fast. This is unbelievable performance. And what a treat for those both on site and hopefully for all of you at home to see what's unfolding in front of you. Fafard out to put in some work. And we do have confirmation that GS Deganey has taken his bow off the track, so he will no longer be part of this competition, but we thank him for his pacing duties. He did so well early on.
We're in round number 6 at the women's javelin. This is Bailey Dell. She's currently in second place. And that will not be an improvement for her. Her best, a 51.14 from round number 1.
Well, the crowd is liking it, and so are we. Thomas Fafard taking the 3-time Olympian to task. Now, Mo looks pretty comfortable. This is a pace that he has run many times in his career. That being said, he's not used to having competition that's quite this stiff in front of him during a 5,000 meter.
And they're staying right now on that 13:20 pace. That 3 kilometer split just under 8 minutes.
Unbelievable running here, and you really get a sense of what it's taking out of these athletes. This is the first time that we're seeing any of that effort showing on the face of Fafard. Again, the wind has not died. It's certainly diminished from where it was, but it is still a present threat out there. He is another accomplished athlete. 3rd here last year, was 2nd in 2022. He was the NACAC silver that year as well, and 3rd at the 2023 Canadian Cross Country Championship. So coming off of the 3,000 meter win at the Jerome Track Classic, he was a standout at the Vancouver Sun Run 10K back in April. I mean, he's done it all. The question is, what does he have left over these last few laps?
And what does Liz Gleadle have left for her final throw in the women's javelin? It will be just over 50 meters. So Liz Gleadle's best today, 59.52.
And now it's Ahmed moving into the lead. He passes Fafard. Ben Flanagan still in the mix, but he's got some work to do.
And you know what? I think he actually looks like he's recovered a little bit and is finding his legs under him. He is such a smooth runner to watch. All 3 of these guys really are. Ben's in a tough spot, having to make up this gap all by himself. He's working hard at it, but now in some ways this is almost a little bit of a reprieve for Fafard, who gets to sit on the back of Ahmed, let him do the work for a while. Fafard has led the whole time, but he's not letting go. Doing everything possible to stay in touch with the great distance runner, Mo Ahmed. Ahmed, you know, we saw him time and time again place 4th, place 6th at Olympic Games, and finally the glory he was seeking so desperately at the Tokyo Games, silver in the 5,000 meter. He wants nothing more than to make this gold.
And he's starting to pull away from Fafard now. And we're going to get the 4 kilometer split momentarily. Again, they've been right around that 13:20 pace. So they're going to remain right at that.
10:37 on the clock with less now than 1,000 meters remaining for the multi-time Canadian record holder. Trains in Oregon with the Bowerman Track Club, has done that for years, a former standout at University of Wisconsin-Madison, and he's going to come up and see 2 laps remaining here, 800 meters, and he doesn't look real, Adam. It's just so smooth and composed. I mean, he's worked on his form. He's talked about that for years, how much he needs to tighten things up and make sure that at the same time he can have the flow that he needs. This is just a brilliant performance. Now he's putting on a show.
That was a sub 60-second lap, 59.52. He's opened up around a 7-second lead on Fafard, and he's looking as strong as ever.
Well, when you're a 12:47 man, anything over 13 minutes tends to, be in a different realm. He's about to lap athletes who are absolute standouts in their home provinces, and it just shows the class of this man. He's got 500 meters to go for Mo Ahmed. His season's best this year ranks him 14th in the world. His personal best of 12:47.20, 18th all time, not just in Canada, but in the world. And the 3-time Olympian trying to make it 4 has 400 meters to go, 12:09 on the clock.
That was a 62-second lap for Ahmed. He's well in control here. His lead now up to 10 seconds on Fafard. The Olympic silver medalist in Tokyo over this distance, looking for his 5th Canadian championship over 5,000 meters. And he's got 200 meters left to go. Fafard made him work for it early on in this race, but the class of Ahmed on full display here in the latter portions of it. He's into the final 100 meters, and he can just soak this in. Mo Ahmed, he's going to make it 5 Canadian championships over the 5,000 meters. And it's going to be a new championship record. He's through in about 13:11. We'll wait for final confirmation. Fafard crosses for second, and it will be Ben Flanagan coming across for third. So for Ahmed, 13:10.99. That is the new championship record. Fafard, 13:18.82. That is under the previous championship record of 13:25.16 that was set back in 2000 by Sean Cayley. And he gets a hug there from Charles Philibert Thibodeau. Another Canadian title in the 5,000 meters for Mo Ahmed. Ben Flanagan through for third in 13:29.42. Well, there's really not much more than that can be said about this athlete. Defending champion in this event. He's made it 5 5,000 meter titles now. This his first 5,000 outdoors of the season, and well, he just goes and runs a new championship record. And he has booked his ticket to Paris, where he will look to move up one spot on the podium from his silver medal performance in Tokyo. And just look at the form as he powers home in the final straightaway. Have to issue a quick correction. He's not the defending champ. He didn't race this event a year ago at the Canadian Championships, but he is now a 5-time Canadian 5,000 meter champion. Ben Flanagan, the champion last year, he'll be the bronze medalist this time around, and Thomas Fafard will pick up the silver. So with that performance, Ahmed has the Olympic standard. He had that coming in, but now he's got the Canadian Championship here at the 2024 Bell Trials, so he has booked his ticket to Paris. Ben Flanagan, though, has the Olympic standard, so he will also be eligible for selection. And as mentioned, Fafard doesn't have the Olympic standard, but he is in a quota position right now. It's a little tight for him, though, as he is right on the bubble, as it will be 42 athletes selected to compete in Paris. Right now, he finds himself 41st in the quota place. And again, the window for performances closes June 30th, so everything is going to come into focus very soon.